So you posted about your new product or offer on Instagram and you didn't see the sales rolled in. You feel a bit defeated and you really want to give up. I'm going to talk to you guys about how I generated $8,000 in 8 days, all through using content on Instagram. So there are three main topics that I want to talk to you guys about. Number one being the actual content campaign that I created, talking about my don't ghost and post strategy, and thinking about the different buyer types that you need to account for when you're launching something. So first and foremost, we need to talk about what a campaign even looks like. The difference between just a one-off promo post and an actual campaign to drive sales to your website, to your new service, whatever it is you're selling. And this is typically what a lot of people get wrong on Instagram. They'll post 1 or 2 times saying, hey, I have this new product, I have this new offer, and then wonder why people aren't making a purchase on it. That's more of like a sales promotional post that you do as like a one-off. Sometimes you post maybe twice about it. But then there is a campaign, which is one specific product that you are going to talk about for a duration of time. And there are quite a few reasons why it's important that you're going to want to consistently talk about your product, especially in that shortened amount of time. So it's simply a numbers game in a couple of different ways. What you have to remember is that there's a psychology behind marketing, a psychology behind selling. And there's been a study done that says typically somebody needs to see and hear about you, your product, and your service at least 7 times before they make a purchase. So if you post just 1 time and your audience doesn't even see it, they're not getting those multiple touch points with you to learn more about who you are and what you're selling. So not only do you have to take those 7 touch points into account, you also have to take into account the algorithms on where you're posting. So whether you're posting on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever that looks like, you have to acknowledge that, let's say you have 1,000 people in your audience, not all 1,000 people are going to see that 1 time that you post about your new product. It is truly a numbers game. Maybe you have an engagement rate of 2%. And right now, the standard engagement rate for an audience of 1,000 is around 2%. And if you think about it, 2% of your audience really isn't a lot of people. So what you have to do is consistently promote and push out your product so that you can get more eyeballs on it. Otherwise, people simply don't know about it. Now, for me, I typically like to at least once a quarter run a campaign for a very specific product or service that I want to launch. And I like to do it every quarter. I might ramp it up a little bit more as my business goes on, maybe every 6 to 8 weeks. But basically, you're going to want to dedicate an entire week to talking about just one thing. A lot of people, a lot of small business owners, you offer more than one thing. People can purchase more than one thing from you. But if you're talking sporadically about all these different products and all these different services, people will get overwhelmed and a confused mind will just say no. So by dedicating an entire 7 to 8 day strategy, a 7 to 8 day campaign, you are able to consistently talk about one product and really target people who are ready to make a purchase from you. And hopefully encourage those that might not quite be ready, kind of push them along in their buyer journey with you. So what this looks like for me, I actually don't do this all on my own. I love to utilize your social team's 8-day campaign. And let me tell you, once you do this one time, it is a rinse and repeat strategy. She gives you Canva templates, caption templates to help you create an 8-day campaign all on Instagram. You guys can check it at the link below. This is what I use for all of the campaigns that I push, whether it's just, hey, I need some more sales and I want to drive traffic to this product, or whether I'm opening a new product, or whatever the case may be. So the next part of generating this amount of income in such a short amount of time, you can't post and ghost. And what I mean by this, once you have created this campaign, once you're posting about one particular product or service or offer for a short duration of time, in order to generate those sales, you can't just post one piece of content and hope it sells. Even if that piece of content goes viral, it's not always going to drive sales. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be on Instagram every single second of every single day during that campaign, but engaging with your community is really key here in helping you drive the sales that you want. It's going to help you meet those objectives and those targets and those goals and the metrics that you want to see come into your business as you go into a sales campaign. So for me, what this looks like, I'm taking the extra time. Yeah, I'm spending a little bit more time. My phone screen time is going up definitely during a campaign. And I try and really not fill up my calendar during that campaign. No extra meetings, no extra calls or anything like that, because I know that I'm going to be dedicating a lot more time to my audience inside of Instagram, answering their questions, reaching out to people, trying to take those cold leads into warm leads. And there's so many different ways that I do this. Basically, I am dedicating my time back to my community, even if they don't make a purchase from me. And there's 2 two main reasons that you want to do this. Number one, obviously, this one's kind of apparent, that you want to drive sales. And by building those relationships online, you're going to help convert them into buyers. That's plain and simple. People buy from people, and this is really going to help drive your sales upwards. And number two, during a sales campaign, even though you might be making money, your engagement is going to be naturally lower on the platform because you are pushing out more of these promotional posts and you're selling a little bit more. You're going to want to encourage your audience to continue engaging with you throughout this campaign because, again, your numbers are going to suffer a little bit here. I know typically when I run a sales campaign, my engagement rate absolutely tanks. I can hardly get more than 100 to 200 likes on a post, where on average I can get between 300 and 1,000. And the reason being, again, I really do try and put out content that will, no matter what, help my audience or get some value. But the nature of selling on Instagram, it is gonna force people to really not double tap or comment unless you prompt them to, unless you are ready to engage back with them. So typically during my sales campaign, while my likes might go down, my shares and my comments tend to go up because people are sharing it with their friends, posting it on their story. Maybe they're even sending it to me as a DM asking more questions. And typically in the comment section, people will continue to ask questions there. And this is my secret little tip that I like to do during these sales campaigns throughout that launch period. When you're engaging with your community, you don't want to just send the typical emoji or like the comment. You are really going to want to reply back and engage with your audience in kind of a unique and diverse way. You need to get very creative with your responses. So when somebody will comment on my post, and let's say it's an objection or frequently asked question, rather than just typing up a response and just sending it as a comment, what I prefer to do is I will just type back a comment, hey, I'm gonna post a reel response to this, or if I've already created the reel, I'll say, hey, my latest reel answers this question, and then go and create a video about it. Because if one person is asking that question or a couple of people are asking that question, I guarantee you that most of your audience kind of has that on their mind. In doing so, you're also creating a new piece of content, but you are starting to answer people's objections before they come to you and ask. It's just another sales point. It is another way to engage with your community, give them the content that they're looking for. Again, this is not going to be a viral reel or anything like that, but it is going to continue to show your community that you're here for them and you're answering their questions. And of course, if they watch that, hopefully it can help you drive sales as well. The same rings true if somebody sends me a DM. Maybe we'll chat back and forth through the DM with text, but if they really ask me a very specific question about their specific problem and like, hey, is this right for me? Should I purchase this product or this product? I want to send something a little bit more personalized. So if I've already kind of built a rapport with them, sometimes I'll send a voice note, but even better, send them a video reply all inside of Instagram DMs. It shows that you don't just have canned responses, that you are really taking the time out of your day to respond to them. And again, this type of relationship building will help you drive sales online. And of course, last but not least, my favorite thing when showing up on stories is to put a question box on your Instagram story and have people ask you questions about the product or any thoughts that they have, any objections they might have. Give them a question that they can easily submit a response to, and then you can reply to those questions on your stories, again, creating more and more content that is building your community throughout a campaign. Now we need to dive a little bit into some marketing techniques and psychology behind generating this amount of sales during a campaign. So to get your mind in the right place, I want to give you an anecdote. Okay, so let's say this girl, she goes to the gym, she's in search of some new Amazon leggings because the Lululemon ones are just way too expensive. So buyer one goes directly to Amazon because she knows what she wants. She types in Lululemon black leggings do, and she reviews all of the content within that listing, whether it's user-generated content that seller has put on their Amazon page, whether it's reviews, she looks at the videos and all of those different things. That is the type of buyer that she is. She has to review every single little detail before she makes a purchase. On the other hand, buyer number two, she goes onto TikTok and she's scrolling through her For You page. She sees one video, she sees how good those leggings look on that influencer, and she makes a purchase. These two ladies are on a different journey. They are buying the same product, but they buy in different ways. This is true of your audience no matter what you sell. So to bring this back into perspective for me and how this campaign works, there are different buyer personas all on Instagram. I know I'm the stalker. I love to go and look at people's content. I might not even follow them or engage with them before I make a purchase with them. That's just the type of buyer that I am. I love to scroll through the content, see if they can kind of help me with my problem. Do they have the solution, I might not engage with them at all before making a purchase. And then there are some people in my community that need to know every single little detail. They want to ask every single question. They're DMing me throughout my entire sales campaign, asking me all these things. I send them content, I send them resources before they make a purchase. Now, one buyer is not better than the other, but the thing you need to note here is you have to create content for all of the different types of buyers out there. And obviously this can be a whole separate video on buyer personas, but just know that this is why you need to diversify your content when creating a sales campaign on Instagram. You can't just go into Canva and put up a bunch of testimonials and throw those up on Instagram for 8 days. And in the same respect, you can't just jump on trending audios throughout the duration of your campaign, hoping that there's some virality that'll bring sales. You really do have to diversify and show up for those different people. And this means showing up and doing some talking head videos, talking directly about your product. And then maybe jumping on the trending audio to handle an objection about your product. And then maybe it looks like going live and answering people's questions or giving a mini training. And even showing up on stories every single day, showing behind the scenes of how your launch is going, what the product looks like. And in this way, you have to diversify the content, show up on Instagram in many different ways because you never know who's watching. All these buyers need different things from you. They need different content from you. Now, the next step that you have to take in order to hit your sales goals on Instagram when you're launching or going through a campaign is to really plan and prep that content for the next launch. Posting just a handful of times won't help you reach your sales goals. So if you want to copy my exact launch strategy from these 8 days where I generated the $8,000, make sure you guys go and watch this video. I walk you through exactly what I did before, during, and after the launch when it comes to my content creation. And I included some lessons I learned along the way. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button.